Okay, so let's talk about reality dating shows. Specifically, what happens when a show that's supposed to prove love is blind ends up revealing some of our society's most obvious biases. It really all starts with one single quote. So that was Devonta Anderson from Love is Blind talking about his brand new fiancée, Brittany. Now, on the surface, you might think, hey, great, the experiment worked. But that one sentence, it kind of accidentally blew the lid off the very biases the show claims it wants to erase. You see, the whole premise of these shows is that love can conquer all, that it can transcend what we see. But the reality? Well, it usually sounds a lot more like, on paper, you're not my type. And that phrase has become this sort of polite code for all kinds of biases about race and class and looks. It's in that gap, right between the promise and the reality, that things get really interesting. So let's dive back into Brittany and Devonta's story, because it is the perfect example of what happens when a really personal journey gets turned into a very, very public experiment. Okay, so here's the kicker. Devonta said that in a private, one-on-one interview for the show. Brittany didn't hear it from him. Nope. She found out when the episode actually aired, at the exact same moment as millions of us. Can you just imagine that? Learning something so fundamental about your own relationship, not from your partner, but as just another member of the TV audience? And in her own words, Brittany said, I had to process that. That one little phrase just says it all, doesn't it? It's that feeling of being a subject in someone's experiment instead of a partner in a relationship. You're not just the person they fell in love with. You're a first, a test case. And listen, Brittany's experience, it is not a fluke. It's actually part of a much bigger pattern, one that has a specific name, Misogynoir. And understanding this idea is totally key to seeing what's really going on in these shows. So what is misogynoir? Well, it's not just racism, and it's not just sexism. Think of it like a toxic cocktail of both. It's the unique, targeted prejudice that exists right at that intersection, where all the harmful stereotypes about Black people and all the harmful stereotypes about women crash together to create this distinct form of discrimination against Black women. And on dating shows, this plays out in some really predictable ways. You see it in racialized beauty standards, where Eurocentric features are put on a pedestal. You see colorism, where people are treated differently based on their skin tone. Then there's the strong Black woman trope, which sounds like a compliment but is so often used to justify mistreatment or abandonment. And of course, you see it in the casting, where Black women are often there to create drama or are expected to perform all this emotional labor, basically acting as the therapist for a guy exploring his options, only to be cast aside later. Now, you might be thinking, okay, that's a Love is Blind problem. But if we zoom out, you'll see this isn't about one show. This is a systemic issue across pretty much the entire reality dating universe. Seriously. From the isolated pods of Love is Blind to the sunny villas of Love Island, Black women who go on these shows consistently talk about having the same experiences, feeling overlooked, being used for a dramatic storyline, or just feeling like a stepping stone for someone else. I mean, that phrase, seat fillers, it's so powerful. It implies you're there, you're present, but you're not actually a real player in the game. You're there to fill a diversity quota or maybe to be a temporary obstacle in somebody else's love story. And what do you know? It's the exact same story on a totally different show. Last picked, first eliminated has become this painful, running theme for Black women on Love Island. This isn't just bad luck. It's a clear pattern, and it reflects much bigger societal biases about who's considered desirable. But you know what? The story doesn't stop there. Because as these patterns have gotten more and more obvious, something really cool has started to happen. The audience has stopped just watching. They've started fighting back. Fans are all over social media, breaking down the show's dynamics, critiquing the casting, and calling out these moments of bias literally as they're happening on screen. They've become this incredible force for accountability. So, while the contestants are inside the show's bubble feeling like they're being overlooked, the viewers on the outside are creating this powerful counter-narrative. They're using their collective voice to support the people and the relationships that they feel are getting sidelined by the show's own structure. And we've seen this have a real impact. Just look at Serena and Kenny on Love Island USA. When they formed this genuine connection, the audience support was absolutely massive. It wasn't just about them being a cute couple. It was people celebrating seeing a Black love story that felt real, one that wasn't all about struggle and drama. The viewers made it clear. This is what we want more of. So why does any of this even matter? It's so easy to dismiss reality TV as, just frivolous entertainment. But the sheer scale of these shows makes their cultural impact basically impossible to ignore. Just let this number sink in for a second. 30 million households. And that was just for the first season of Love is Blind. These aren't just some niche shows, they are massive cultural events with a truly mind-boggling reach. So that forces us to ask a pretty important question. When a show is reaching 30 million homes, what messages is it sending about who is beautiful, who is desirable, and what role race plays in all of that? What social norms is it quietly reinforcing night after night? And that right there is the key. These shows are what some experts call cultural artifacts. They don't just hold up a mirror to the biases that already exist in our society. They also act like a megaphone, amplifying those biases and making them seem normal, even natural, to millions and millions of viewers. So the next time you tune in to watch people fall in love through a wall, it's worth asking yourself, is this really an experiment to see if love is blind? Or is it an experiment that's just revealing exactly what we as a society still refuse to see?